Long, long ago, once there was, and once there was not, a king. And this king had a daughter, the princess. And oh, he loved his daughter. Well, most fathers love their daughters, but this king was just absolutely smitten. And he knew that this daughter was going to grow up. And he enjoyed every day he had with her as she was growing. He enjoyed watching her ride horses. He enjoyed her listening to her sing and all those wonderful things that daughters do. But as she developed, he became more and more aware that when she grew up, she would in all likelihood marry and move on to her husband's kingdom. This did not please him. Yes, he wanted her to grow up. Yes, he wanted her to be happy, but he didn't want her to leave. And so he thought about this for quite a while and came up with the idea that if I'm going to lose my daughter to some unknown noble person out there, I'm going to get something for it. So he sent out his messengers to the kingdom, the adjoining kingdoms, with this message. Any suitor who were to bring him the most precious gift would win the opportunity to court his daughter. He wasn't going to promise her, but he was going to offer her the opportunity to court her. Well, this caused quite a stir because this princess was lovely, and she was a princess after all, and who wouldn't want to court a princess? And so people were coming from all around with these wonderful, wonderful gifts. They were bringing things like gold. And the king looked at it and says, I've got gold. They brought silver. And he says, I've got silver. Jewels, the same thing. I have more jewels than I know what to do with. They would bring horses. And he said, I have horses. I have horses with saddles. And they would bring silver saddles. And he'd say, well, no, I have gold saddles. Well, the word got out eventually that this king was not to be pleased. And the suitors sort of diminished in number, shall we say. And that's when a nobleman out in the hillsides there decided that he was going to do something about it. And so he called his sons together one morning. He had 3 of them. And he said, boys, I had a dream. And they looked at each other, oh, not another dream. They said, I had this dream that one of you found the most precious gift and you took it to the princess and you won the opportunity to court her and you married her and you lived happily ever after. Well, the boys liked this idea. They said, which one of us? He said, well, I woke up. I don't know which one of you it was. So all 3 of you are going to go in search of the most precious gift. And to aid in your search, I'm going to give you each 50 pieces of gold. So he gave them each 50 pieces of gold. He says, now be off. Go find the most precious gift. So the boys left. And they looked at each other and decided, well, we're brothers, we're friends. Why don't we just go together? So they did. They hopped on their horses and they headed off. And it was agreed that they would head to that village way out over there, just on the other side of the hill, where there was magic. And they figured they were going to need magic because they'd heard the stories about, this king was not happy with anything. So they came over the hill and down into the valley and right into the town square. And they stopped and they tied up their horses and they looked around. And the oldest brother said, because he was always in charge, he said, I will take the right-hand street. Middle brother, you will take the middle street, and younger brother, you can have the left one. We will go down that street, we will find the most precious gift, we will come back and compare what we have found, and then we will be off to the princess. Okay. So they started down their paths, down the streets. Now, the older brother, who took the right-hand path, he found a lot of wonderful things. They were mainly glass and stuff like that. He found some pottery and some kind of crystal things. Everything was nice, but nothing really, spoke out to him. Until he got to the end of the road. And there was the last shop. And it was kind of dark and dusty. And he thought, there's not going to be anything in there. And he started to turn around, but then something caught his eye inside. And so he went in. He looked around. It was dark and it was dusty. And he started to leave, and he heard a voice from back in the corner, and it said, what do you want? I'm looking for the most precious gift, he says. Ah, the most precious gift, huh? Well, let's see. And at this time, a little man came out from behind the counter. He was not very tall, and he was dressed in a long black robe, and he had a long gray beard and a tall, pointy hat. He says, most precious gift, huh? How much are you willing to pay? And the older brother says, I have 50 pieces of gold. 50 pieces of gold. Come with me. So he followed him into the back room. And the old man kind of, leafed through some things, and he came out with a mirror. And the older brother looked at it and he says, that's a very nice mirror, but it's old, and it's kind of scratched, and is that a chip in the frame? And the old man says, but it's a magic mirror. Okay, what's magic about it? Well, he says, if you look into this mirror and you think about a person, you will instantly see that person. Try it out. Look into the mirror and think of your father. And so the brother did. He looked in the mirror and he thought to himself, Father. And sure enough, it got kind of cloudy, and then the cloud broke, and there was his father sitting at his desk in his study. And the boy said, that's wonderful, I'll take it. And so he took the mirror, he put it under his arm, and he started heading back towards the town square. Meanwhile, the middle brother was going down the middle road, and there were all kinds of cloth and tapestry things. And he found some lace, and he found some baskets and all kinds of wonderful things, but nothing really spoke to him, till he got to the very end of the road. And there was a dusty little shop. Didn't look like there was anything going on there. He started to turn around and go, but then something caught his eye. He looked inside, and then he went inside. Then he was about to leave, and he heard a voice. What do you want? He looked around. He didn't see where that voice was coming from, but he said, I am in search of the most precious gift. Oh, the most precious gift, huh? And he walked out behind the counter, and it was a short little man in a long black robe, long gray beard, and a tall pointy hat. He says, most precious gift, huh? How much are you going to spend? The brother says, I have 50 pieces of gold. 50 pieces of gold, huh? Well, come on back here, I'll show you something. So they went into the back, and he started digging through some things, and he pulled out a rug, and he threw it down on the floor, and the dust flew, bugs flew out of it. And the brother says, nice. And the old man says, it's magic. Well, what does it do? If you get on this rug, think about where you want to go, and instantly you will be there. Try it. Sit on the rug. Think of your father. Okay, so he sat down on the rug, and he thought about his father and his father's study, and boom, there he was. And his father says, what are you doing here? What? And just, he couldn't even get all the words out of his mouth. And the brother said, there was this old man. He was gone, and he was right back in the shop. The brother says, cool, I'll take it. And he rolled it up, bugs and all, tucked it under his arm, and off he went towards the town square. Meanwhile, brother number 3, remember brother number 3, the youngest brother, he was going down the left-hand side. Now, he was blessed with the road that had the vegetable and fruit vendors. And he went past some marvelous apples and quite a number of zucchini. And he saw wonderful things that he thought were very, very nice, but most precious gift, this is a stretch. But he kept going because it was getting towards the end of the day, and he needed to find something. Eventually, he came to the end of the road, and there was the last shop. It was kind of dark and dusty. Didn't look like anything was going on there, but he poked his head inside. He looked around, and he heard a voice that said, what do you want? he looked around. He says, well, I am in search of the most precious gift. And the voice said, the most precious gift, huh? Well, about that time, he came out from around behind the counter. Short little man, long black robe, long gray beard, and a tall pointy hat. And he said, how much are you willing to spend? And the youngest brother says, well, I have 50 pieces of gold. 50 pieces of gold, huh? Come with me. So they went into the back room. And the old man picked up and had presented to the youngest brother a lemon. He looked at that lemon and he said, it's a lemon. And the old man said, of course, it is a lemon. It is a magic lemon. The brother nodded his head, a magic lemon. Okay, how is it magic? The old man looked at it lovingly and he says, the juice from this lemon can cure any ill. But it'll only happen, you can only use it once, because once you cut the lemon, get the juice out, it's gone. Magic lemon, huh? Okay, and he handed over his 50 pieces of gold, and he took the lemon, and he headed back towards the town square. Well, the three brothers converged there with their horses, and they started to compare notes. And the oldest brother says, I have this magnificent mirror. If you look in this mirror, you can see whatever it is you're thinking of. Oh, they thought that was rather nice. The middle brother said, I have a magic rug. You roll it out, stand on it, and it'll take you anywhere you want to go. Ooh, this is wonderful. This is good. Then they turned expectantly to the younger brother, and he said, I have a lemon. And they looked at him like, he is the youngest. Let's cut him some slack. A lemon, very nice. It's very pretty, very yellow. And the younger brother says, it is a magic lemon. Okay, magic mirror, magic rug. Why not a magic lemon? He says, what does it do? He says, the juice from this lemon will cure any ill. Well, they asked him, have you tried it? He says, no, I can only use it once, and then it's gone. Oh, okay, well, it's special. And they looked at each other and they said, well, what do we do now? Well, let's see what that princess looks like. Okay, so they got out the mirror, and they all three looked at the mirror, and they all three thought, princess. And it got fuzzy, and it cleared, and there was the princess. But she was lying in bed, and she was sick, and all around her were doctors and the king, and they were so worried. You could tell just by the looks on their faces, they were worried. And so the brothers looked at each other, and they said, what are we going to do? Well, let's get on the rug. I'll have my lemon, said the third. And off they went. Boom, they ended up right in the princess's chamber. Well, this was a surprise to the king and the others. But immediately they said, we have come to help. The king thought, well, just about anything could help at this point. And the youngest brother says, this lemon can cure any ill. And the doctor looked at it. It looked just like a regular old lemon to him, but he thought, what the heck, I'm going to give it a try. So he cut the lemon in half, and he squeezed the juice out into a spoon and gave it to the princess. And right before their eyes, her color picked up. Her eyes started sparkling a little bit. Pretty soon she sat up in bed, she stretched, and she says, oh, I feel wonderful. Now the king had a problem. He had 3 men in the princess's chamber. The princess was okay, and this must be the most precious gift, because now his daughter, his wonderful daughter, was alive. She was recovered, but who is the winner? Which was the most precious gift? Well, at this point, I usually ask, if it's children I'm with, I said, what do you think? How many think it's the lemon? Oh, yeah, okay. Without the lemon, she would not have had the medicinal properties to get better. How many think it's the mirror? Well, without the mirror, they wouldn't have known what the problem was. Okay, so the mirror was really important. What about the rug? Without the rug, they couldn't have gotten there. The king had a real dilemma. So he asked the daughter, what do you think the most precious is? And she said, I think it would be the lemon, because that is the nectar of life. That is what has brought me back to life. And so it was. They offered this young man, the younger brother, much to his older brother's dismay, the opportunity to get acquainted with and possibly court the daughter, which he did, and they were eventually married, and they went off to live happily ever after. And the two older brothers had a wonderful time on their magic rug with their magic mirror, the places they went, the things they saw. It was wonderful. Okay, I told this story at the Boys and Girls Club this last summer, and I actually had the kids arguing with me about the ending. And one boy who had sat rather so in the corner, you know the type, during that discussion time, he said, I think it was the father, because the father gave each one of the boys the 50 pieces of gold, and without those 50 pieces of gold, they couldn't have bought the mirror to see, the rug to go, and the lemon to save her. And I have to admit, I've never had anybody suggest that one to me, but it makes perfect sense. So that is the most precious gift.